Let's talk about home now. It's a home nurture and parenting. And even though not every child lives in home with their biological parents, and now modern society, we have so like, home dynamics are different from the past. So past, most of children lived with their biological parents and biological grandparents and extended families. However, now it's, not only biological relationships they have, and then, totally just after their home ground, it's like a foster care and different um, their home environment they have. So it's very difficult. So usually, let's say they live in their biological home. I say the biological home, that means at least, one parent or legal guardians or blood related relationship they have. Basically, those parenting, we have, I say, about 5 different types. So first type is more reasonable parenting. So those parents are very wise and very lucky children have those parents, very just, thoughtful, always think, and then very reasonable parenting and always talk with. It's more like a democratic parents, like a democratic teachers. So they respect the children's opinions. Still, they have their own authority as a parent. So they don't just let the children just control the whole their family environment and family life. And some parents, like a permissive parents, they may do that. So that is the first parenting, and then second parenting is like a child-oriented parents. So child-oriented parents are very good, right? However, it's sometimes too child-oriented, then they just raised their child as just a small God emperors of the universe. That's Jordan Peterson said, that kind of, child that they can raise. So, they believe just a whole world exists for them. So they are just center of the universe, and very egocentric children they can make. And then we have permissive parents. So permissive parents is like, grandmother types of parents. It could be very nice, gentle, parents styles. However, many times these parents themselves are very soft and weak, and they hate conflict. They cannot just stand children's whining and crying and those emotional behaviors. So always just they, as soon as the child tried to cry, and oh, it's okay, okay, and then just very permissive. So these parents are also just they don't teach children's boundaries. So that's the one type. And then next one is very protective parents. Protective parents are, they always just value, of course, they just really love their children. However, they are always proactively protect them. So really a lot of restriction, limitations in the parents, children's perspective. So sometimes, especially those, puberty age kids, they just feel like they can't breathe. Always the parents monitor and supervise and just make sure they are safe, and they do homeschooling and private schooling, and they just try to provide the best environment. Hopefully the whole world, later when parents are out of parents' hands, and they just go off to university, college, or jobs, and then the world is not that perfect world, paradise. So these different parenting styles, if they only live with the parents forever, it is okay. However, they cannot live with the parents. At age 5, they starting schooling, right? So if a parent send them to schools, public schools and private schools are still out of their hands. Only the parents provide homeschooling, and then they stay with their parents. But most of the children go to, somewhere else for schooling, and it is very important because I see the schools, one function is academic learning, and then the other function is social practice. Children meet those, other children, that many other children. School is the only place that they can meet that many children. And then third one is nursery. During the daytime, it's a very safe nursery place. So children go to school and then parents can work, or they just can do their own, social, activities or whatever they need. So they have, each children have a break from their parents, and parents have a break from their, from their children. So that is a very safe place. So once they are, in schools, the parents don't worry about them that much, because they know, school adults, teachers and principals, and all those people will monitor and watch their children. So those, parenting styles based on that, and children got raised, and then they have their own, birth nature, right? Their temperament, their personality traits. It could be part of their DNA or their own, and because two parents mixed, always it's mixed DNA. So even one, two same parents and then multiple kids, and they are all different personality traits, even though they are all from the same DNA. So these children from those same parents, and with the different parenting types, and then they come to school, and then school teachers, they have 20 children and they have 20 parents behind. So those are, democratic parents, and permissive parents, protective parents, child-oriented parents, and then I forgot to say inconsistent parents. So we have 5 major, we have more types, just a big 5. I say more like a democratic or reasonable parenting, and permissive parenting, child-oriented parenting, and protective parenting, and then inconsistent parents. So inconsistent parents could be permissive or just all among these, but it's not really like, keeping their words and their rules they made. So these first parents, most ideal parents, means they are very consistent when they have their rules, and then home rules and home policies, and then they keep those very consistent. It really, these parents really stop their children's whining and fussing. If parents really love their children, they don't want their kids to use all those, exhaustive emotional communication. However, these permissive parents, inconsistent parents, they could have more of those behaviors and make their children more difficult. So after these parenting, and based on their parenting, children could show different behaviors at school. And because school is the first time they are testing themselves, so they are raised by their parents, and they go out now and they are testing themselves, so how their parents raised them. So they are very, independent, and just like a cognitive maturity they have, and then their social emotional cognition, they just go out and test. It's not only academic learning. It's all in social groups, right? So they test their people skills, and then testing means that they test the struggle, right? And then emotionally very just distressed, and they get over this, and then those processes, and then they are learning those, people skills and social sense, and then more cognitive maturity they could have and control themselves, because at home they cried and showed a tantrum, and then their parents listened to them, and then they just gave them whatever they wanted. However, in school it didn't work. So not those kind of communication they could make through their emotional this part. Even though teachers don't do, just they try to care them, however they show those tantrum doesn't mean teacher will listen to them. That is a permissive teacher. So we have the same types of parenting, and then we have the same types of teachers as well. Teachers are human beings. So it is a lot of parenting styles. It is based on their beliefs and perspectives and insights and, all that. However, still, humans characteristics, you cannot ignore that, because that parenting style, like especially permissible parents, and it's all based on their parents' personality and characteristics as well. So teacher has the same, those kind of, traits. So the matter is, once children raised, by those different parents, and they come to school, and then they show their human characteristics, and then based on those background factors, is a parents' background factors, how they raise, and then children shows different issues. So most of the children are very healthy and mentally and physically very healthy and active. They could follow school education very well. However, we may have about 20 to 30% of children may not on track, and then they struggle. So that is very important as a parents, how we raise our children. They come to school, and then, they have those issues. So that's why Jordan Peterson said, how parents raised, and they just, let's say, spoil their children, and very permissive, very protective, and child-oriented. So we use just word spoil a lot. So very spoiled child, and then we use that. However, those parents really, to them, their child and children are very precious, and they will not, switch exchange with any, and they even could die for them. However, these parents, they love their children this much. However, they never imagined their children come out to the other social groups, and they got disliked, and people don't appreciate when their children come. So that means children's social sense and social manners and people skills are not on the under standard. They are not standard levels. So that's why parents, how they raise their children show different, characteristics, and then their absences, and then teachers believe just like, oh my gosh, I will have a good day because a little Matt didn't come, little Sue didn't come. So it is horrible if a parents know this, what other people think about their own child, they dearly love. So it is, I know, this is for teachers. However, we always have to remember, how we raised. It's not only our child we can keep inside our house until their last minute. They have to live outside those, those wild world. They have to go out, and they have to just explore and take adventures, sail out and fly out. So, and then they have to live with other people, and then how they behave, it's very important. So anyway, children's those strengths and weaknesses and issues. It's many children raised by those permissive, protective parents. They shows learned helplessness. It's because of those independent skills. So once they have learned helplessness, that means they don't trust their own capability. So always, somebody got to help me. So when teachers, give out the worksheet, they just sit there without doing any until teacher comes and just talk to them, explain that. It could be part of their craving attention. However, that's how parents did everything for them, and they don't believe they can do any because they never done it, not much. So always the parents come and help them and guide them, and then they follow the parents pleasantly, happily. However, in school, multiple students, teachers barely do that, and they just stay like, without doing any. So it's like a latency issues, right? And then organize personal materials and items, because always parents did that for them. So they just don't know how to do it. So it's very messy, and manage time and follow, preset schedules. So because it is part of, learned helplessness as well. So always the parents did everything. So no concept about schedule or times. The parents says, let's go, and they go, eat and they eat, and like that. So, self-control and delay gratification is, they always want something, and then parents right away, gave them and provide them. So it's a very hard concept for them. And then plan for mindful of future events. This is too big for them, and control and regulate their emotional stress, and organize plans and actions, and have goals to achieve. And it's not, so it's all up to, I'm not saying just now, no. However, children are raised by those, wise parents and smart parents, and then they disciplined them. It's not just to listen to them. They know they have to, 5 years old, and they have to go out and live with other people. So they teach those social skills and those group life skills, and those parents teach them early enough. And then those children will, do all these skills, and then very strengths. It's their strengths. However, if they are not, and then they will all show these difficulties. So they are not disciplined, they are disciplined. Very work-oriented or work, driven, and when need. So that means it's a focus. They can just they can focus on their work, right? And children, based on their, home environment, children could have sleep issues. They have a chronic headache and stomach ache. Just constantly they complain about their, my stomach hurts and I have a headache. And it could be their excuse, like, kind of a whining, or really they have those, often they have it if they don't properly just fed at home, and health issues, and then physical pains, and then just, motor limitation, that it could be, part of a sensory-based motor, issues. And many family have a family issues and living issues and divorce going on. And our divorce rate is, I believe, it's over 50%. So most of over 50% of children get through some point of their biological parents' divorce. So it is a very emotional moment for children. It's just they feel like, falling whole universe down, because the parents are their universe, and those universes falling down and just split, two. It is very painful moment. I even don't have to talk about this. And then challenging home atmosphere. That means it's just something, violence going, screaming, yelling. It's not pleasant home environment. And then family violence, and then too many transitions, and it just constantly children just move, parents move. It's especially large city school district, it happens a lot. Children sometimes, 2 to 3, 4 times they move, just every 2 to 3 months, they move, and they have a failure, rejection experiences previously at home, and unstable emotional state, fearful and social trauma, and negative experiences with the adults. So that is very critical one. They have this experience, and they're not going to trust the, classroom teachers. And then classroom teachers really need to work on it to build it. And then medication issues, and then auditory sensitivity and distraction, that is oversensitivity issues. It could be part of, sensory processing issues, and disability issues. And then, other medication, substance use, and those kind of issues they could have. So these are all by home environment and home nurtures, and it shows in schools, and then teachers have to deal with these issues. It doesn't mean, they are, raised like that, and then probably could be already just a habitual behaviors they could show. However, teachers still understand the children, and they screen, and then they have to work on this. okay, not accepted. It's not right behavior, and then teachers have to teach it as an instruction, okay?